This week in T1D, the week of June 14th, 2026. 6 type 1 diabetes stories, every claim sourced on screen. FDA clears the first over-the-counter glucose monitor for kids. The FDA cleared Dexcom Stelo, a continuous glucose monitor, CGM, sold over-the-counter for ages 2 and up, the first OTC CGM for children. The key catch for type 1 families: it is indicated only for people who do not use insulin, has no low glucose alarms, and is not a substitute for a prescribed CGM in type 1 diabetes. Source: FDA news release. Does COVID cause type 1 diabetes? A study of millions of Swedes says probably not. A Swedish register study in Diabetologia tracked 2.65 million children and 6.9 million adults. New type 1 diagnoses rose briefly in the 30 days after a COVID infection and after a first vaccine dose in adults, but the bump did not persist over 2 years, pointing to diagnoses being found sooner, not a lasting causal effect. Vaccinated children actually had slightly fewer diagnoses overall. Source: Diabetologia, peer-reviewed. Long-term follow-up of T1D immunotherapy trials finds no extra safety signals. Researchers followed participants from 14 randomized immunotherapy trials in people with or at risk of type 1 diabetes, some for up to 18 years. They found no difference between active therapy and placebo in self-reported severe lows, hospitalizations, serious infections, allergies, autoimmune disease, or cancer. This is a reassuring safety finding about side effects, not evidence of a cure. Source: Diabetes Care, peer-reviewed. A kidney drug showed benefit in T1D regardless of A1C. In an exploratory analysis of the FINE-1 trial, finerenone reduced albuminuria, protein in the urine, a marker of kidney strain, by about 25% versus placebo over 6 months in 242 adults who had type 1 diabetes and chronic kidney disease, consistently across A1C levels. Important context: finerenone is not approved for type 1, and this was a smaller, exploratory look at an industry-funded study. Source: Diabetes Care, exploratory analysis, Bayer-funded. When you lift weights may change your glucose response. In the TREX crossover trial of 66 adults with type 1 diabetes, afternoon resistance exercise done after eating produced a steadier post-workout glucose profile than morning exercise done fasted. The difference was clearest in people on multiple daily injections, time in range 67% versus 51%, while insulin pump users saw no significant difference. This is one small study. Individual responses vary. Source: Diabetes Metabolism Research and Reviews. Moving to adult T1D care too early was linked to worse control. An Australasian registry study of 784 young people moving from pediatric to adult type 1 care found that transferring before age 18 came with a longer gap between visits, 13.5 versus 8.1 months, and a higher A1C at the first adult appointment, 9.3% versus 8.8%. Younger transfer age stayed associated with higher A1C in adult services. It is an observational registry finding, not a controlled trial. Source: Diabetes Care ADDN Registry. That's the week. This is news, not medical advice. Always talk to your care team before changing anything about your management. New recap every Saturday. Subscribe to T1D Pulse.